Amid the Israel-Hamas war, 2 U.S. hostages have been released by Hamas. Anthony Blinken has confirmed that 2 of the U.S. citizens who had been taken hostage by the Hamas terrorists have been released. The U.S. Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, saying that about an hour ago, 2 American citizens that were held by Hamas since October 7th have been released.
About an hour ago, 2 American citizens held by Hamas since October 7th were released. These 2 Americans are now safely in the hands of Israeli authorities in Israel. We welcome their release, but there are still 10 additional Americans who remain unaccounted for in this conflict. We know that some of them are being held hostage by Hamas, along with an estimated 200 other hostages held in Gaza. They include men, women, young boys, young girls, elderly people from many nations.
So 2 American hostages have been released. Hamas says that these 2 hostages have been released on humanitarian grounds. That's a claim that they have made. But there are still hundreds others who are held captive by the Hamas terrorists. And the world has not forgotten the butchery that they showed and unleashed on Israel. Pradeep Datta joining us from Israel with the latest. Pradeep, 2 American citizens have been handed over by the Hamas terrorists. They were captive since October 7th. But that does not mean that the world has forgotten the butchery that Hamas had unleashed on Israel.
Yes, yeah, Pratibha, you're absolutely right. Nobody's going to forget the barbarism, butchery and brutality that these Hamas terrorists resorted to on October 7 when they infiltrated into this side of the border towards Israel. And when they started targeting women, children, they did not even spare toddlers. Many of them were beheaded and many of them were killed. And after that, they took some of them hostage also. 200 people are still in their captivity. 2 of them are released. Yes, it's a good news after a long time that something has happened in the war zone, because at least 2 people are returning home. They will be meeting their near and dear one. They were handed over. But if Hamas thinks that by releasing these 2 people on the humanitarian ground, they are going to whitewash all the crimes they have committed in the last few days, that's not possible, because the world is not going to forget. Because October 7 will always be remembered as the darkest day in the history of Israel and in the history of the free world. Because nobody thought that these people, after intrusion, they will start killing innocent people, they will start targeting women, they will start targeting children. In fact, there had been images coming from that particular area, Rime, where they targeted the musical party. They did not spare anyone. Many of the people I had been interacting with, they said for 4 hours to 5 hours, they were hiding behind the bushes. And they saw that how their near and dear one were killed in front of their eyes. Even ambulance driver was not spared, because he was only carrying the injured to the hospital. The doctor who was treating the patient, he was also not spared. He was also killed. So there had been so many cases. Now what actually the Hamas all of a sudden is trying to prove to the world that they are the Messiah of peace on humanitarian grounds. If you really wanted to work on the humanitarian grounds, you would not have indulged in such kind of a butchery. Second is, if you really believe in humanism, then you should have released all the hostages. Why you have kept that 9-month-old baby? What is the fault of that 9-month-old baby being held captive for the last 14 days? That 9-month-old baby has not even uttered a word, Mama and Papa. And what not to talk of understanding the politics between Israel and Palestine. So you have held 9-month-old baby hostage, 4-year-old baby hostage, 87-year-old woman hostage, and then you are talking about humanity and humanism and trying to preach world the lesson and trying to say that this way you are exposing Joe Biden and his fascist forces. Yes. I think this is not going to work, because your ecosystem must be working overtime to just normalize everything, but that's not going to happen.